I just want to lay out where they are since Joel Embiid went down. So these are numbers from February 1st onward. It was actually very convenient. Joel went down January 30th, so new month, new team. And
as we all know, the most important thing is to make Kyle's
easy statistical markers.
Yep, absolutely.
So since February 1st, the Sixers are the 29th defense in the NBA. Utah is the only team that's worse. So they're worse on defense than the Pistons, the Wizards, the Blazers, who, again, the Blazers were bad to begin with, and they're also all hurt right now. So to be worse than them in that time period, that's quite an accomplishment. 29th on defense, and we've hammered them for the defense. I think it's safe to say all of us are skeptical that they can cobble together a competent defense without Joel Embiid available. On the other side of the ball, they are 19th in offense, which I would say is probably overachieving a little bit just based on guys being in and out of the lineup. But the underlying numbers there are bad. So they're 26th in effective field goal percentage. And for those of you who don't know what that means, essentially effective field goal percentage just weights 3-point shots more than 2-point shots. And so what that tells you is that they're not making and taking enough threes. And so under that banner, you would say, okay, they're 19th in offense. That's been able to steal them some wins here and there. But the underlying numbers suggest that they're probably worse than that. And they're probably going to be worse in the weeks ahead on offense simply because it is hard to build a sustainable, high level, even like baseline average offense in the NBA if you don't take and make enough threes. And there are a million reasons for that. Tobias Harris is one of them, but it's a team effort. Like they got to get up more threes. They got to make more threes. They're bottom 10 in assist percentage, bottom 5 in assist ratio, 25th in net rating, and they're 20th in pace. And if I'm looking somewhere, the two places, and I've said this on the show in different ways, the two places I think they immediately need to change if they want to try to pull out of this, they have to play faster. They cannot be a bottom 10 team in pace. Like it's one thing to do that last season when it's James Harden and Joel Embiid. It's even one thing this year when James leaves and it's more the Maxey show, but it's still Joel Embiid. You cannot be bottom 10 in pace with this personnel and their inability to score in the half court. Like that's a big problem. And you have to shoot more threes. I don't care how they have to do it. If you have to go to Tobias and say, look, we're going to run you in pick and rolls and you have to be a pull-up shooter. Like we all know his issues as a catch and shoot guy. He's reluctant there. If you have to say to him, we will give you the ball 5 more times a game and I need you to shoot threes on 3 or 4 of those, then do that because the 3-point volume has to come. And so that is the profile of a team that has no path to being good. You can't get stops. You're below average on offense and arguably are underachieving based on where your shots are coming from and who's taking them. That's a bad basketball team. And so, like, as much as we say, like, yes, they beat Dallas, they got to come into Brooklyn or against Memphis and get one of those two. The numbers would suggest to you they should not be favored outright against basically any team in the league right now. And that's with or without Tyrese Maxey. Maxey, I think, makes a difference, certainly. I think if he plays in games like Brooklyn or Memphis, they probably win at least one of those two, if not both of those. But nothing is a gimme right now. And so as we're saying, like we were arguing about different points in the season, who would you want to play in the playoffs, who they match up with, things like that. They just got to hope they stabilize enough that they're not in the 8th seed by the time the season ends and playing on the road to try to avoid Boston in round 1. Like that's where they're at right now.
Yeah. And you brought up getting out in transition because I was looking at some of those stats before the show too. Do you know how many points per possession they score or points per 100 they score in the half court since February 1st?
It's going to be ugly.
It is abysmal. 90.8 points per 100 possessions.
And what would the average be? Just for people to Or off the top of your head, what's
102.
good?
102 would be the
102.
median.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're 12 points per 100 possessions lower than the median average, the only teams that are worse, Memphis, who they just played, and that's barely worse.
Who
and
has
that's
the worst offense in the league.
worst
gave up
offense in the league,
115
and most of
to
their
them.
players that you would know are out. And Houston. Only teams in the league over that span who are worse. In the half court, they are 21st overall in offense. According to Clean Glass, their numbers are going to be slightly different because of how they define a possession. Doesn't matter, and garbage time doesn't matter. 21st in overall offense, 28th in half court offense. They definitely need to run more. That's 100% true. Not only because it will get them some higher value shots, but it will also, that's a way to get them threes that Kyle was talking about. To get out there on the break, get Buddy free, because when you're in the half court, there's just no reason for Buddy's defender to leave him. That's true for a number of players, even Tobias when he is playing well, which occasionally does happen, although not nearly as much as you would want it to. It is because he's getting early offense, either an open three or against an unset defense or a mismatch. He just doesn't do much in the half court anymore. I don't know what happened. That's a much broader conversation. But one way to get him going and get a better version of Tobias is to get out on the break. Unfortunately, in order to get out on the break, you'd usually have to get a stop. And as you mentioned, they are also not only an abysmal half-court offense, they are terrible defensively.
And then you have to get the rebound, too, when you do get the stop to allow yourself to get out there and transition.
Other than that...
other than that, because...
Weirdly enough, their rebounding numbers are better than... I mean, they're still... I think they're probably bottom 10 or like bottom 12 at best, I would say. But that... Hey, great. You're like, at best, you're 18th in a category. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
Gene Ross says, so are they bad? Yeah.
We all silly like the mayor.